tell you about the Epic line, and I want to really talk a little bit about the Force for Good. And I think, Giselle, that's what was so fantastic on that first Samoa trip was being to there. So I'm an ethnobotanist, and that's the study of plants and people and how people use plants for medicine, for shelter, for food, for personal care products. And that's just been such a fun thing for me because I love plants and I love people. Um, so what had happened was I had was very fortunate. My father was a national park ranger. My mother was a scientist. I couldn't quite decide which way I wanted to go, and I think this sort of has aspects of both, being an ethnobotanist. So I was very happy and very thrilled, really, to be. I got my PhD at Harvard, and then a couple of years after that, uh, the White House sent me an award that I could use to do any research I wanted to. Wow! So I thought I'd go to Samoa and try discover if there were any medicines that the traditional healers use that could be effective against breast cancer. So this is a little picture of our family here in Samoa. We went to really the most remote island in the archipelago. The most remote village was next to a rainforest. And here's our little family. Barbara, of course, who you'll hear a little bit more about later, who's the love of my life. And then our left is Emily. She's now a professor at the University of Washington. Next to her is Mary, who's now a professor in Vienna, Austria, the university. Hillary is a full-time mom, and then my son, Paul Matthew. So we took with us just our my research gear and then the kids' school books. We checked with one of the each of the children's teachers and got their curriculum for a year. So we just moved down, and all we really had was those textbooks of the kids, my research gear. We lived in this little hut without running water, electricity in the whole village, and the kids had studies in the morning, and then for recess they could run out on that white sand beach and play in the tidal pools. It was just a really great place. So what happened? Um, and we can go into a little bit more detail in the discussion on this, but I didn't find anything to treat breast cancer with, which is what I wanted to do. My mother had perished from that disease, but I did discover a new drug for the treatment of HIV/AIDS. It came from the bark of a tree that the Samoans called mamala, and I'd worked closely with my colleagues at the National Cancer Institute in the United States to do this. But a logging company came up and started cutting the forest down that had the tree in it, and Barbara stood by me. We discovered that people were gonna had to cut the trees, allow the loggers in because they needed money to build a school. So Barbara and I decided together that we would uh, sell our house in America and use the money to build a school. And fortunately, some good people came and helped out, and we didn't actually lose our house. It was a great day. But I worried a lot about this because in my travels, I found that a lot of indigenous people don't have things that we take for granted in the industrialized world. They didn't have schools, they didn't have medical clinics, they didn't have water supplies. And so I thought, I wonder if there's some way to help them. Drug development takes a very long time. So I started looking at how beautiful their hair and skin was, and I asked them about it, and they said, "Well, use the plants." So I went to several cosmetic firms saying I would be very happy to help design a new cosmetic line, and the firms were very excited. Boy, I mean, they these are the biggest ones in the world. But when I asked them, and can you send some money back to help the indigenous people get schools or hospitals or medical clinics? They all said, "Well, no, we can't do that." And then I met these two guys. The guy on the left is Blake Roney. The guy on the right is Steve Lund. These are two of the founders of New Skin. And when I met met them about this, they said, well, yeah, that's why we have a company. We're here to help people. Well, boy, I hadn't heard that before. So that got me really excited. So we started working together on a cosmetic line called Epic. One of the first things that they did, which really won my heart, um, was I wanted to find a way that indigenous peoples could keep the rainforests without cutting them down. And so New Skin gave me, it was the first convention I'd ever attended. It was sort of scary. I had to stand up in front of the audience, or a lot of people. It was in a big stadium. And they gave me a check for $75,000 to build an aerial walkway in the Samoan rainforest. So that's my daughter Jane there standing on that walkway. It goes right across the top of the trees. And this way the people could earn revenues from their forest without cutting it down. Wow, that was great.
Yeah.
And Giselle and John came down with Sandy Tillotson and Steve Lund to cut the ribbon on that walkway, showing that you could use a resource and help the people profit from it without having it destroyed.
Wow.
So I started working to come up with some products, and we can talk a little bit more about this, Jonathan, and when I'm done here. But let me just show a few of them that were sort of interesting to me. And I knew that you'd have a pretty international audience here. So I'm talking to people here in Europe and Australia, New Zealand, and China, everywhere where your downline is. So this was one of the products that I developed called Ice Dancer. I was living in Sweden at the time. I was a professor in Sweden. The Swedes had this wonderful cross-country ski race called the Vasaloppet, where people go for over 100 kilometers on skis. I wanted to find a way that they could have something for their legs that were tired and achy. So I used this plant here on the left called Mentha arvensis. It's a wild mint that Native Americans used to rub on their legs when they would do these sun dances, which would last 3 or 4 days or travel great distances. You can also see on the upper right some linden seeds. Anyway, I packed this full of really interesting ethnobotanicals. And what was really happy for me was that many of the athletes on the Olympic teams, particularly women's freestyle skiing, wear this on their legs when they come across the finish line. They don't necessarily endorse the product, but the world champion ice skater Yuka Sato in Japan actually publicly endorsed this. And so we named it Ice Dancer. And that's been a really fun thing for people that have tired, achy legs, playing tennis or skiing or hiking. This is just great to put on your legs, and you rub it on. And typically, most people, after about 90 seconds, they feel cooling. And then after 90 seconds, they feel a warmth. And this was sort of a really fun product in the Epic line.
I did,
Go
just
ahead.
I remember when my father brought the ice dancer, and it was like the first time we had it. I was a kid, and he was like, "You got to try this, Jonathan. You got to try this." And I'm like, "I ain't no dancer, Dad. Like, get away from me." You know, like I didn't want to try it because it said ice dancer. But inevitably, of course, I had to try it, so I tried it, and I remember the incredible like cooling sensation, and then the warmth that came like 30 seconds or a minute after that. But I was wondering in the photo, because I didn't recall that it was mint. Could you eat the mint? Because
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you wanted to, I don't suggest people eat the product.
yeah, well, you know that they eat that bao body butter, right?
Well, we'll get to that in a moment.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But
I
I
just
was
remembered it was
actually,
such a strong cooling thing. I was like, could you eat that then? Because that might be like
well,
really.
what's interesting, I mean, we don't, and one thing I think we really need to remind everybody on the call is that at New Skin, we don't make medical claims for our products. However, the amount of science that goes into the design of those products is equivalent to what pharmaceutical firms do. And some of them I've actually, yeah, I've used a lot of pharmaceutical data. So this is interesting, Jonathan. I was being filmed by some filmmakers and they took me up skiing. It was very cold, and I noticed the poor man with the camera started is getting frostbite,
Oh.
and I had some ice dancer in my backpack. I know it's a vasodilator, so I said, "Here, please rub this on you. You're looking a little frozen there," and boom, it saved him. And so, anyway, this is one that we really like a lot.
That's awesome. That's so crazy. What?
Yeah, exactly. So let me try another one here. This is really my favorite product, made from the bulbs of the Avapuhi plant. We call it Avapuhi moni, which means the real Avapuhi. Um, the women in Samoa had such beautiful hair, and they showed me how they use this bulb to they get the fluid out of it, they rub it on their head, and then they put a little bit more in for conditioning. This really sort of shows what the company will go through to produce these products. We've got a little bit different packaging now, but same idea. There's shampoo and light conditioner, conditioner, any dandruff shampoo. So the sort of the backstory on this, which is fun, and I hope we have a company rep on the call so they can slap my wrist if I'm telling too much of the backstory here. But when I tried for quite a while. Oh, here's Elise saying, I love the Avapui back when it was, what's she saying here? What an interesting call here. Was first introduced to me as amazing for curls. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's really great for, well, Giselle's hair would be a good example of that beautiful, long black hair. It makes your hair really shiny and supple, and it's just great. Hi, Cindy DeMay. Good to see you. So, anyway, so I met with the company, and I think one thing that differentiates our company from all others I know of is we're we have a lot of scientists. It's a really science-driven company. So I met with the scientists, and I told them that, yeah, I wanted to make a shampoo out of this. And they said, well, where do we buy it? And I said, well, you can't buy it. You have to, it comes out of the rainforest. Well, what rainforest we go? I said, well, no, I don't want you getting it from the rainforest. So I don't want to damage the forest. I said, what you'd have to do probably is grow it, maybe in a place like Hawaii on the old sugarcane groves. Oh, they said. And what part do we make the perfume from? I said, well, from the fragrant fluid from the bulbs. They said, well, how often does it flower? I said, oh, it only flowers once a year, just for a couple of years. So they said, now let's get this straight. You want us to make shampoo out of some stuff that we can't buy. We have to grow it ourselves, and it only flowers once a year. And that's the only place we can get it is from the flowers. I said, yeah, that about sums it up. And they said, oh, okay. So they did this, all of it. And it's really cool. They have like a big sort of like what do you call it? Like a clothes dryer. They put the bulbs in and it spins, and no plants are damaged in this. The thing continues to grow year after year after year, and it's on the old sugarcane groves that are abandoned in Hawaii. But if you say those words to about anybody, any Polynesian, certainly in Tahiti or Hawaii or Samoa or Tonga, they're going to take and show you those bulbs, and it's been really fun. Let's see here. You mentioned Jonathan, Baobab body butter. I've shown him the old packaging and the new packaging. The reason I like both of them, of course, and the new one is what amazes me, the scientists here. That package is made out of sugar cane. It's totally biodegradable, the new one. So it has very small imprint. But I want to show you the old one, because see that little heart up in the tree where my cursor is there, Jonathan? Mm-hmm. See, this is a baobab tree from Africa. There's a little heart that the product designer stuck up there because we want to say, well, we work for a company that has a heart. These Africans, what happened, I was so impressed with what the company's done in Malawi in helping people that I went and I said, could I please formulate a product made entirely from plants that grow in African villages? They said, well, yeah, let us see what you have. So all the stuff in this baobab body butter comes from African villages. It comes from the fruit of the trees, so no trees are hurt. And it's just a great moisturizer. I put a lot of baobab, Adansonia digitata in it. I love shea butter. I packed it with shea butter. It's a great moisturizer. And what's interesting is I build it really to protect people from the environment. I put a little few things in there that I'm not going to tell you about, but if you start using the product, you'll figure out pretty fast what how they work. But particularly in winter, as we're going into fall and winter in the northern hemisphere, or summer in the southern hemisphere for our friends joining us from Australia or New Zealand or Africa, it's just a wonderful, wonderful moisturizer. And the ladies use it. They down in Africa, throughout Africa, they take the fruits and rub it on their children. So I did get a note from somebody, and as I remember, it was a distributor in Johannesburg that wrote, and he said, Dr. Cox, I'm trying the Baobab body butter, but it doesn't taste right on my bread in the morning. And I thought, oh dear. I think that's what you're referring to, Jonathan. I said, no, you don't eat it. You just put it on your skin. But that's been a lot of fun. Here's one I want to talk a little bit about. And this flower, Jasminum sambac, is called in Chinese muliwa. It's a beautiful type of a very special type of gardenia. The Hawaiians call it pikaki. Extremely fragrant. And so I had a chance to work on another product called the Epic Yin and Yang mask, and pumped this full of jasmine and sambac. This is really the secret of that beautiful porcelain complexion that people in China have. And everybody that grew up in China knows this song, Moli Wa. They can sing it, and it's fun at distributor events to have people stand up who grew up in China and know how to sing that song. It's a beautiful thing. And what's cool about this is you put it on your face, and it's white when it comes on. But then if you stir it a little bit, it activates the charcoal, and then it turns gray, and it sort of detoxes your skin and leaves it with this really beautiful tight thing. And it is something that I think that really, I think it's really nice to demonstrate. And occasionally, I was looking around this morning to see if I had here in the library a bottle of it, because I like to put it on and show everybody. But it's really fun and really works. I really like it, Yeah. So let me show you a couple more. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. Now this is breaking news here. We're just coming out, and I think this is coming out in most markets. If not, it should come soon. It's Epic Hand Cream. And I was really happy to be able to play a role in this. And by saying I play a role, what it means is I'm the guy that comes up with the plants that are used, but we have a whole team of cosmetic chemists and formulators, and they're just terrific. And they work very carefully with me on this. So it's really a team effort. But this is Epic Hand Cream, a brand new product, and it's made with muru seed butter. This is a little palm called muru in the Amazon River Basin along the Amazon. The name of the palm is Astracarium muru. And the people take the seeds, and they get this wonderful butter-like substance, but it's like shea butter, but it has a higher melting point, and it actually has about the same viscosity and molecular biology as our natural skin oil. So it's really helps the hands to feel better. We even put some stuff in there, some pistachio for nails, and pumped it again with shea butter, which is one of my favorites. So I hope you guys like this. It's coming your way if you haven't had a chance to try it yet, because I wanted something for people's hands. So I don't know, Giselle or Jonathan, have you had a chance to try this stuff? Have you had a prototype?
I haven't gotten to yet.
They kept me out of that one. I am just so not happy. But you know what? The first time I ever heard you speak, I didn't try anything until you spoke about it. So
There
this is a good omen.
Well, it's just coming. It's just coming out in the markets now. And again, I hope I didn't jump the gun by announcing this too early.
No, that's great.
But I've been working closely with EMEA markets, where I know you spend so much of your time in Europe, and it's coming there. It's not there already. It's coming to all the world markets, and
Wonderful.
yeah, but let me know. Let me know what you think. I think it's great, and I can't keep it around because Barbara and my daughters take it and use it, and and I only had one or two prototypes that were completely used up. So I think you'll dig it. I've got to plug my computer in. Just wait a second.
And I was wondering, Paul, how long has this product been available?
I think it's just coming online now. This is
2023.
the first
Okay.
announcement that's made, and look on the I challenge people who are on the call to look on the Nu Skin website and your markets and see if it's
Sure.
there. And if it is, give it a try,
Yeah, right. That's
I
great.
love getting that sort of feedback. Oh, wait, see.
Okay,
Louise
so
Spencer
Louise
writes,
has it
I've
already.
got it.
Oh,
Louise, she says, it's amazing. Well, I like it, but again,
that's fantastic.
I work for you and want to make sure that it's great. And Mark says it's on the roadmap in EMEA. Mart Anglistera says hasn't seen it yet. Val Parete says I haven't seen it in Canada yet. So it's sort of making its way out into the markets. But try it,
Fabulous.
Yeah, I think it's fun. And we always have, Louise Spencer says it'll be in EMEA next month. So here's where I wish we were together, because I just take my prototypes and pass them around and see what you guys think. But it keeps your hands moisturized. It keeps them softened. And I'm biased, obviously. But the fun thing of being me is I can make products that I want myself. I make for my family,
That is true.
So, Paul, in this year, how active are you in the development of new products with Nu Skin?
Very active.
That's
very
awesome.
active. And we have such smart people working with us. And I want to put a call out to, Dr. Helen Naggs, who's our vice president of product development. She's terrific. And Deanna Carter, our cosmetic chemist. Well, just to show you what this company does. When we started up Epic, the company said, what sort of packaging do you want? And I said, I like your packaging, but I think Epic will appeal to younger people who are sort of active, the type of people that are out climbing mountains and riding bikes and that sort of stuff. And they said, well, is there any packaging that you'd prefer? I said, well, maybe what gets closest for me would be Estee Lauder Origins. Here's what they did. They found out who designed the Estee Lauder's Origins packaging. It was a lady named Cynthia Graney. They hired her right out from Estee Lauder in New York, brought her to Provo, Utah. Boom, here she is. I don't know if she'd ever been out of the city before. And she was great. And when we started the polishing bar, which was our first product to be introduced, and I told her how this Siskiyou bark is the Native Americans, and they call them in Canada the First Nation people, rubbing on their arms and legs before they go out in their canoes in the open ocean fishing. She was so impressed with that she put it in the packaging, which I loved. So the idea is if you run out of the polishing bar, you could actually take the package and rub it on your skin. I don't think they do that anymore, but it's been fun. And I don't want to give away too much, but we've been working a little bit on updating the polishing bar, and because I love it too. So let me go back here, and then we'll give you more time to chat here. Okay, great. Anyway, so try this, and then Giselle, maybe people, or Jonathan, people could let you know what they think, because I listen very carefully to and people need to know what they tell us has a big impact. It really does. So let me know if you like it and what. So the reason I got into this is I wanted to have these indigenous people have a way to have schools and hospitals and water supplies, so that they didn't have to cut their forest down to build a school. And so it's called the Force for Good. Every time an Epic product sells, 25 cents comes, a quarter of a US dollar comes into the Force for Good Foundation. The cool thing is the company covers all the expenses. So the full 25 cents, every bit of that goes to these projects. Let me show you a couple of these projects, get some examples. So in Fiji, Barb and I went down not too long ago to a very remote island, to a place called Namukithake. They really didn't have a proper school. And with Force for Good funds and some donated funds, we built houses for the school teachers to come. You can see water tanks, solar panels, because there's no electricity over there. This little girl, right here's Barbara. This little girl ran up to Barbara, wanted her picture taken. These other kids ran over. And it turns out this little girl is barefoot and she walks 8 miles. How many kilometers is that, Jonathan? That's what? Is that
Like
14 kilometers, maybe 13, 14
15,
kilometers.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, every day just to get to the school over a mountain. That's how precious school is. And here's one of the chiefs giving a speech. They were all blown away that I was able to give my speech back to them in the Fijian language. I know a few languages and indigenous people, and they're really thrilled with that. And it was just so fun, that these kids for the first time have a proper school. Here's another example from Vietnam. This is in northern Vietnam, a place called Halong Bay, beautiful little islands. It was the home to the world's most endangered primates, the cat ba langur. And here it is.
Oh.
And what had happened was that these guys were hunting them out and then killing them and using them to sell for medicinal trade. So we met with the guys doing the shooting. By the way, what a nice thing to do, to meet with the people that you don't get along with. You sometimes can be very surprised that you can find common ground. And we made a deal with them. If you stop shooting these little monkeys, we'll educate your children as far as they can go. We'll build schools. We even gave them this boat. And so the population is down to 32. It's now over doubled. And those are the most protected endangered species on planet Earth, because these guys aren't really happy with anybody messing with them. And I think they're so cute with that hair, And I was looking at hair and I started wondering if maybe, there was, who knows? But their hair looks so beautiful. And it's called the cat ba langur. And our friends in Vietnam should be aware that Force for Good's protecting them. Oh, here's the guy at the school in Fiji. By the way, that was the 300th school that had been built. And we're now up to 400 schools, medical clinics, solar panels, water schemes for little villages. They don't make the front page of the New York Times, but they're really important to the little people that live there. And yeah. I just love to take everybody on this call and put you into the, let's all go on the plane and go down to these places like Giselle has done to see these things. Let me sort of do a couple more of these, and then I'll come back to you, Jonathan. So in Madagascar, which has been on my mind a lot, remarkable place. The forests there are just rich with these amazing lemurs. You've probably heard about them, with these big eyes and long tails, and a lot of endangered plants and birds. And it's just a biodiversity treasure chest. So we made a deal with this village to protect the lemurs and the birds and the animals in their forest in return for building a school. We couldn't get helicopters down into this remote part of southern Madagascar. So the villagers carried every nut bull board on their backs for 3 days, because the village is a 3-day hike from the nearest road. And this was so great for the children that children in another village heard about, started swimming this river. We were afraid that they might get hurt when the water, because it seasonally floods. So we built a bridge for them. Wow. And this was interesting, because once again, the villagers carried every piece of that bridge, including bags of concrete, for 3 days on their backs to build it. The elders were a little scared to walk across it. They were crying. No, we said, it'll hold your weight. And there's all the little kids there. And to me, this is sort of a symbol, really, of what Epic's about, because it's a bridge between our culture and indigenous knowledge. Epic really is knowledge of plants that's developed in cultures for hundreds or even thousands of years in some cases, combined with cutting edge science. and they share this knowledge with love. We respond with these projects, and I don't know. It's just a really fun thing to do, and it isn't just these little projects as well. We're doing surgeries for kids in the Philippines, doing eyeglasses in South America. There's all sorts of Force for Good projects, and you can read about them on the web at forceforgood.org. So, I guess for me and Barbara, our dream was that you know, we'd be able to sell our house and build a school for this village. Well, no, I mean, and I actually thought, and I think you'll get this, Giselle. I thought, well, maybe that's why God sent me to Earth, so I could get a school for these little kids. Well, now we're up to 400. Okay. And it
Yeah.
just keeps going because of the amazing work that our distributor force does. So, and our brand affiliates. So when people ask you sometimes what you do for a living, I think you should tell them straight. Say, well, I build schools. I save endangered monkeys. I'm protecting rainforests. I fund surgeries. What do you do for your work? Because that, in a very real sense, is what's done. And to put some sort of brackets on this, 1 year, and again, I'm fond of Estee Lauder, so this is not a critical comment on them. In fact, I've spoken to Mr. Lauder himself, on occasion, but a nice guy. But 1 year they wanted to make a contribution to breast cancer research, and what a great thing. So they came up with $25,000 that year. Hooray! Every dollar helps. I want to ask the accountants to verify this, but I think we're bumping above $40 million in the Force for Good. I mean, it's really big. And that's something that I didn't realize when I sat next to you and Betty Soon.
I know.
The power that all these people would have working together. And let me just say a couple more things, and then I'll go back to you for more of an interview format, Jonathan. But I had no idea that could happen. I mean, it totally blows my mind that we together could have this immense impact in parts of the world that, I mean, just in the conservation projects, we're in 70 countries. We're welcomed. The other thing I didn't realize at the time, because, I'm a scientist, I'm sort of a geek. I mean, let's just face it, I mean, why try hide my geekhood? And yet, one of the most pleasant things in my life is meeting our distributors, our brand affiliates. I mean, I so much enjoy spending with them and time with them. I'm so grateful for what they're doing, because I'm not a business guy. I don't understand this stuff. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what the letters mean, like PV and stuff like that you guys talk about. I don't understand what it all means. What I do understand is that you're having this massive impact on these indigenous people. And what I love, I mean, all of us, I think, the last week or two have been so troubled by world events. And yet, let's think about this for a second. I mean, I can get on the plane and go anywhere in the world, and I can meet our friends. I can meet our brand affiliates. You have a home anywhere. What an amazing company to be at, and it's so fun to visit with everybody. So I just want to thank all of you. I really do. And Giselle, John, your husband was such a dear guy to me. And the stories he'd tell me, I mean, I continue to. In fact, I suggested that to you, Jonathan, that we ought to have a book where everybody tells their stories of your dad.
Yep.
How remarkable he was, and what a great soul. And I remember we've been together in the Pacific. We went up to Norway and to Sweden and Copenhagen, and what he's done in Germany is amazing. And so this is going to sound a little precious, and I'll get in trouble for this, but maybe the way that we can work together across the international lines, maybe the way we can respect each other, maybe the way we can join together to do good things, maybe that's a little sign into how the world as a whole could work in a better world. What do you think? And so I was pushing that, and I started thinking about people that seem to have a hard time being polite and pleasant. And I noticed that none of them are using Avapui Moni shampoo. And again, I've had so much fun in Russia. I love Russia, but their current president, I don't think he's using Avapui. And I was thinking that the dear leader there in Pyongyang in North Korea, what would happen if we got him some Avapui shampoo? Maybe he quit having a bad hair day every day. Maybe, no, I'm serious. What,
I agree.
Avapui for world peace,
For real, smells good. It put him in a good mood, probably. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the line of thinking.
And they say, by the way, this is has a payback here. You're helping these things. And who knows? So, but in our own small little way, I think we're making a stand for love and for peace and for certainly for conservation and certainly for taking a worldview and how to protect this wonderful planet. So thank you, all of you, for being with me. So Jonathan, Giselle, let me turn the time back to you now and see if there's some comments or questions. Would you like me to look on the chat? I can see if anybody's written in questions. Should I start there? See if there's any there, Jonathan? Or
That's great.
Can look at that in a little bit, but one thing that I think is amazing and that you have really encapsulated it during this time with us is how one thing that I know growing up with Nu Skin that I've always thought was so great about this corporation is that the way that they kind of almost understate certain things and then over deliver with insofar as like the product offering and stuff like that. And one thing that I really love about the Epic line is that's exactly that's like Dr. Paul Cox all in a nutshell, because it's like, yeah, we're talking about these fruits and flowers from the trees that you do this, but it does so much more. And it's like the stuff, I mean, like the one with is it the Bao butter actually that also you could put on the skin and it would maybe keep some
we're not going to make any claims, Jonathan.
Well, I know I'm just saying it could potentially
but here's what's fun, see, is when I build these products, and it's so fun. I got to tell you, it's really fun what I do. I always put in stuff that I don't tell anybody about, and I remember my background is discovering new medicines, and I work with a lot of pharmaceutical firms. And with the pharmaceutical firms, my deal is not cash-based. I mean, they compensate me, but what I really want is data. I want data. So a good example of that would be Firewalker, where, that has so much, there's probably $2 or $3 million worth of pharmaceutical bioisolates behind that. I mean, and people always say, "Oh, well, I noticed it does this and that." I say, "Well, great. Don't tell anybody medical claims. Just keep it yourself." But I'm glad you enjoyed the product. And a real fun one was, Anton Bond and Joanna in Germany. They're Danish, but they live in Germany. So I was in Stuttgart, and he came up with these before and after pictures, and he said, "Oh, look at these." And in the one picture, there's older people with legs that have varicose veins, and the other ones, there's none there. He said, "This coming from ice dancer." I said, "Anton, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody." I said, and I laughed. He said, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Well, I didn't tell anybody." I said, "The company doesn't even know." I said, "But I was looking at this old herbal, and I thought, well, as long as I'm going to have a product people rub on their legs, why don't I just fix their varicose veins for them?" And so I used this 400-year-old, herbal plant to guide this. But I said, "Do not tell anybody that." I said, "But are you really trying to recruit new brand affiliates from the old folks home?" And he said, "Well, no," he says, "it's their grandkids, because they come in and their grandpa and grandma are so happy because their legs feel great and they look great. And they want to find out why." So, I guess there's a lot of different ways that the business can run. But again, please, everybody, disregard what I just said. I mean, Firewalker.
We'll cover for you.
Ice dancers used for tired, achy legs. Firewalkers for tired, achy feet. Soul Solution is for, but all of these products, I always put in a little something extra, and it's fun to know what they're using.
But Paul, one of the things that you and I have always, and then you have been blessed with even joining Blake's family through your daughter, right? But it was an amazing thing that for me, being this Puerto Rican girl out of an island, to end up connecting with this amazing man that had this idea to start this company to improve people's lives. Because if Blake, for me, was anything, was the way in his vision that through business, through everything, it was about improving people's lives.
He's a great guy, and I don't think he or Steve Lund have even had a parking ticket. I mean, I'd be amazed.
Right.
Well, let me read a couple of these questions really quick and answer them, okay? So, Kariana Hari says to everybody, can Pharmanex and Nuskin do anything to prevent ALS? No, we're not a pharmaceutical firm. I saw an interesting document on ALS. Yes, you can see my own personal work at brainchemistrylabs.org, and there's a documentary film there that you can click on and watch. But that I'm very focused on that, my pharmaceutical work, but that's not part of Nuskin. Olaf says, I love Firewalker. So do I. Somebody want to know what's happening to it. Says we need Firewalker back to EMEA. That's Anita Nordum. I actually asked him, and I'm very fond of Michael Linder and Tina DeFranco, all these great folks there. The answer is we've just got to sell it there. It was not having the sales to support it. And so Gabriel Boyd, oh, how pleasure to see from you. We use your products every day since 2005. What about the deodorant? Yeah, what about the deodorant? I love that stuff. Is it still around? I don't know. I sure hope so. That was amazing because that was based on studies that we did in Haiti with their traditional healers. They're using this plant Citrus aurantium. They call it in Haitian Zoranzi. And it had citrosomes. A lot of people are waging unwittingly nuclear war against their own arms every morning. They put on deodorant. I mean, heavy metals, all sorts of stuff. So I like to say Epic deodorant was the most gentle, the most natural of all deodorants. It was the only one my father-in-law could use. So if it's disappearing, let me know. I'll go down and try buy a case for myself. Hang on to it. Is it possible to get essential oils back to Nuskin? Gosh, Frody Neeland, I'd love to do that. I had so much fun with that, and I made one for our anniversary. My wife Barbara, and that I put in a bunch of stuff that is aromatherapeutically helps you bond and feel romantically and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I miss it too, but I think it may have been, again, the company is a business. It's not a charity, it's a business. They do a lot of charitable things, but they really have to make sure that the products that you're selling make a business sense, that they're having enough sales. And I just don't think essential oils had enough sales. Oh, here's Anton Bond. Hey, Anton. Sorry, but I'll never forget what he says. He says, Paul, I catch them by the foot, he says. How he recruits people. Well, how good is that, Joanna? Let's see. Please make us a new deal. How about bringing back the old one? Maybe we'd have a secret club. I'll brew it up in the lab or something. Let's see here. Any other? Trini Marie Hoven says, I love you. Well, we better tell Barbara about that right away, don't you? But, I still remember meeting in the middle of convention, just bursted out. I just love Scandinavians and give them a big hug. Well, I do. I'm very, very fond of Scandinavians. And I just had a birthday, and sure enough, one of my friends in Uppsala sends me a little video, and she's singing Ja Mohaleva, Ja Mohaleva, Ja Mohaleva to 100 år. Lillian Pop says, good to be remembered how great the Epic line is. Well, thank you. Now what you do with them. My real goal, maybe the business goal I would have, would be the Epic line would be like a welcome mat to the company, so that people would like it, and then they could explore all the other great products the company has. And I've really tried to encourage to keep the price points to the point where, it's something that somebody who's not quite sure if they want to get involved, you could either gift it to them or they could buy it. And boy, I get to peek occasionally at the sales, and something happened with the body butter, which you were about to say, Jonathan, and I just don't think we should say that. Okay, I mean, we don't want to make those claims. Just try the body butter, go out and have a picnic, and in the middle of the summer, and
see what happens.
a little happier. How about that? Let's just say that. Okay. He'll say August says, "Don't worry, well, I'll keep your little hand lotion secret. Won't tell a soul." Well, she said every note work globally. You can talk about the hand lotion. It's coming. It's coming your way, and I think the company is fine. But this is our newest Epic product, and I'd really like to see if you guys like it. So let me know. Hello from Sweden. Margarita Bergstrom says, "I love all the Epic products." Well, all of us love Sweden, of course, and I'll tell you, having a nice dinner in Stockholm is hard to beat, isn't it? And Normally Lim says, "Thank you so much." Well, and boy, lots of little hearts. Aren't you guys kind? Golly, thanks for having me on board. This is real. Do you know if we'll have the deodorant again? I don't know. I'm gonna have to hunt down where it's at in the markets. If we want something and we like it, we got to sell it, and that makes sense. They just can't make stuff that doesn't sell. I loved it. EMEA next month. I guess that's going to be hand. I'm surprised you guys haven't seen that hand cream. So take a look. Let me know what you think of it. Louise Spencer says she's had. Here's Cindy DeMay. Love you, Paul. Thanks. I think. Can you use Ice Dancer when you're pregnant? Sure. I mean, I don't know why not. And the instructions. I love the claims on the Epic products. It says rub on foot. That's firewall. And I have, that's it. Rub on foot. And the claim we do make is that they all have plants used by indigenous people in the same way they used them. And that's about it. Kate Edwards, thanks for your kind note here. Hello from Denmark. Well, boy, hello to Denmark. Don't you love Copenhagen? Don't you love Denmark? I mean, and I think that we should have a sausage competition. In fact, maybe that's another thing for world peace. Send the guy in Pyongyang some of those Danish, what they call pizza corv, I think he'll calm me right down. Here's Sophie Von Hay from Auckland, New Zealand. Thank you. And good night from Madrid. Is Mara Bermudez. Great. Jonathan. And here's some people. Gabrielle Boyd, of course, from Switzerland. Isn't she amazing? Gabrielle's just one of those incredible people, that has built this amazing business. Yep. And what do you think, Giselle? I think my goal is to make the products so people like them, so they get emotionally attached to them. But that's just the beginning. You add a Gabrielle Boyd sort of person to that mix, who wouldn't want to have her as a friend? I mean, come on, she's great.
Yeah.
And guys, for everybody listening to this call, I think, like my mom stated at the very beginning, there are so many millionaires upon millionaires upon millionaires in our organization who created a massive network all over the world by sharing the stories that you just heard over the past 45 minutes from Paul Cox himself, literally sharing the stories, the heart of Nu Skin, the going to Madison Avenue and presenting to all of the big firms in skincare and having them make offers saying that they do it, but his integrity and commitment to actually honoring the indigenous people and making sure that they would be taken care of, as well as companies making a profit and creating amazing products. I mean, think about that. Think about the partner that we have and all of those things, and moving forward into where we're going, how relevant these Epic products are in terms of the trends that are emerging. I mean, all of the young people in the world, they care about sustainability, about the cleanliness and the efficacy of the products, how natural they are. That's what people are looking for, especially with the advent of COVID. And people care more than ever about the cleanliness of what they're putting in their body. So you couldn't even think of a better positioning for monetizing a network globally than leading with the stories that we've just heard. You could make more money than you've ever thought possible just using what you heard in the past 45 minutes.
For me, Jonathan, you can do more good. I mean, I met a lady and she lived up in northern Norway. I'm trying to remember if it was up in Trondheim. What she'd do, just an example of the way the Force for Good works. every time you buy a container of Baobab body butter, one tree is planted in Africa. And that was the Force for Good payback, one tree. And so she stacked them in her window, the old containers. So she could see this forest growing. I'm the only one to blame for calling it Baobab body butter. I think if I would have thought a little bit better, more carefully, I would have called it Plant a Tree in Africa kit. Well, it doesn't matter where you're at, you can buy this, this product, and boom, a tree goes up in Africa, And so to me, that's the fun part too, is to see the impact. And that's why I really would really welcome. I mean, any of you come to Jackson Hole, you're welcome to see my lab, but even better is to be in the villages and see how much the people care and they're conservationists, how much it means to them. And it's just a bright spot. But anyway, here's this little forest growing in the northern rainforest, northern part of Norway. Let me tell you something else, Jonathan. I had so much fun because I was with some of our European distributors in Brussels, and we had a little dinner. And I was seated next to a woman who, again, I think she was from Iceland, and I said, "Well, how's the company working for you?" She said, "The best part about this company is I can be at home every day to welcome my daughter home from school." I thought, wow, and I called Barbara up that night. I said, "Barbara, do you know there's this lady who can welcome her daughter home from school every day? She's there because of this opportunity." So, I mean, I'm with you, Jonathan. I've seen people make remarkable wealth and to share it so broadly. But I've also seen a lot of people who are happy to be able to welcome their daughter home from school, who maybe can put their child a little bit better school, or they can, make a car payment, or I mean, there's all levels, and I work for everybody. The one thing I was so fun was Sandy Tilson when I first came on, and this is no secret to anybody that knows her, but I think she's probably smarter than the top 3 people in Nu Skin. I mean, this is a really, really smart lady. And I said, "Sandy, do you have any advice for me on product design?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Make and design emotional consumables." Think about what she said to me. I need to make product that people emotionally bond to and they consume. And so, just like you're saying, Jonathan, every time I work for anybody, I have my own little secret goal I don't tell them about. I try over deliver. And I thought, Nu Skin's so great at recruiting people. It really is. And recruiting the right people, recruiting really good and fun, happy, pleasant people. I thought, I wonder if I can help them retain. And the way I can do that is by doing exactly what Sandy said, is to produce emotional consumables. So I was in Copenhagen. We had a spare night, and with Diedrich there, I said, let's call up people who haven't made an order, that lost contact with the company after a year or two, and just sort of dropped off the map. So we did this, and we had some of the employees there in Copenhagen heard about it, and they volunteered. So at nighttime, we're all at the phones calling people. Almost everybody we called, in fact, I think everybody was thrilled to hear from us. And 75, 78% placed orders on the spot. "Oh, I'm so glad you called because I need mine." And then they put in the liquid body loofah or the avapui moni. So there's all these people that have this really goodwill out there, and they love the product. And so I learned a lot there, and because sometimes for whatever reason, people's lives get busy, they might drop away a little bit, but they still love those products. And that's my mission number one, is to make sure that we produce products that are emotionally consumable at the right price point, so they can be a welcome mat for the whole company. And that's, in my way of thinking, it would be the purpose of the Epic line. Epic Everglide Foaming Shave Gel. Greta Lehag says, "Yeah, I saved some of that." And I know what plants were used to make it, and I've spotted those in the wild. So that's the thing, is I can go make my own stuff. That'd be fun to have it. So yeah. And here's Marga Seviano. Bravo. She says, "Well, thank you." But here's a challenge. Jonathan and Giselle, let's do a trip.
That's what we're thinking, Paul.
Let's
That's
do
what
a
we're
trip.
thinking.
Let's go be with these people. I mean, what a fun trip. Wouldn't that be?
Yep,
You
yep,
know, and
absolutely.
yeah, and I'm in Europe a lot, and I love South America, and we have our own great linguist here for that. And Asia's amazing, and and New Zealand, Australia, all these places, Africa, of course. I think we ought to maybe have the John Sexsmith Memorial trip, and let's go have some.
Wow,
Wouldn't that be
Yeah, that
fun?
would be great.
he would
That'd be
love
awesome.
that.
Yep, that would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah, he'd be smiling right now.
That is for sure.
And Kate Edwards says yes, and Lillian Pop says, "Come to the Nordics. We'll make a native dance for you." That should be a lot of fun.
I want to see.
Well, I'll
And
tell you, there's
greetings
a
from
beautiful
Finland.
rainforest in Puerto Rico. We can go.
Well, here's the other story. So then maybe I'll conclude with this. But I was flying back from Zurich or somewhere, and the guy sitting next to me wanted to know what I did. And I said, "Well, I'm a conservationist," and told him just a little bit about what I do. And he said, "Well, how can you be a conservationist and fly in this aircraft? Because the aircraft produces carbon, and we're all worried about carbon footprint." And I hope you can forgive me on this, Jonathan. I said to him, I said, "Well, with this foundation, we've saved 1.5 million acres of rainforest. So I think I'm sort of offset for this flight." What's your excuse? So anyway, I hope I can be forgiven for that. But
That's amazing.
what a fun thing to do things that make people happy, that help Indigenous people, that act against climate change, and have a lot of fun doing it. That's what I'd say.
Yeah,
And now
absolutely.
through Zooms, you don't have to get on the aircraft, and you can still touch all the people around the world. What a magical thing!
Well, and I'm so grateful to all the people here on the call, and thank you,
Yeah,
everybody. And seeing some good friends here, and forgive me, I'm thinking of Anton Bond. I'm telling these little stories about Anton and Ioana. And I mean, all these people are so amazing. I gotta say, Iceland is life changing. You've spent time there. I mean, what a great place.
Yep.
And everywhere I go, there's great people,
absolutely.
beautiful things to see. And maybe that's the focus for life, is to let's focus on the positive, accentuate the positive, and what a great team that you have assembled, and what a pleasure to be with you, Giselle and Jonathan. And tell me what this thing Axel Me is. What does that mean in that thing on the back behind you, Jonathan? That
So Axle.me was it used to be called GPN, Global Partners Network, and then it changed. My parents decided to change the name from GPN to Axle.me, and basically Axle.me, like my father created like an axle of a wheel because its spokes were like the network, the human like natural extension of you, like the network all over the world, and so it was Axle.me in terms of monetizing the network, and then it can also be like it's mindset, it's opportunity, and it's just commitment to excellence, discipline, perseverance, and achieving your goals. Like that's what it comes down to.
I love it. Seeing shame on me. I thought it was because it was named after Axl Rose from Gun and Roses.
That's a good one too. Hey, why not?
But anyway, how fun to see everybody. What
Thank you
great
so much.
company. The other thing, let me just put in a little pitch here for the company. It's a big place, but everybody's trying hard, and occasionally things get hung up or they don't come out as fast as we'd all like. But can I just encourage everybody to say thank you to the good people who work there in corporate? They're trying hard. They're great folks, and then let me say thank you to all of you. I know what you do is hard. I really do. And it's my job to help you. I help you through the products. I hope my stories have helped in some way. And let's get together. If not in your home country, then at the global convention. But let's have this little dream, Giselle, of a little, what do you think? A little trip to see some of these folks.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Absolutely. Paul,
100%.
I am so absolutely energized by just this digital waves and the love that you've outpoured through these digital waves all over the world, just the way Paul Cuts can. And for that, I am forever grateful to have met you when I did and to carry this friendship into generations to come. Paul, I am here for you at any time, any day. I will plan whatever trip. I mean, I'm not a great planner, but I'll figure out.
Well,
Sophie will
Giselle,
help
your
me.
first
Cindy will
assignment
help
then,
me.
your first assignment is carry the first bottle of Agave Limoni into Pyongyang.
Okay.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Okay.
It's
Thank
great
you,
to be with you.
Paul.
Jonathan.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.